it's Talks from critshappen.com. Thanks for watching and welcome back. Today I've got a preview of a Kickstarter game that is currently in funding. It's actually already achieved its target, so it's into stretch goals. It's called Sails of Glory. It is a naval sea battle set in the days of sailing ships. And it's very familiar. If you've played Wings of Glory, it's going to feel very comfortable and right at home. Now this is a beta version of the game. I'm not going to delve into a lot of the rules and show you a lot of gameplay for good reason. There's a lot of things on the Kickstarter page that will already show you how to move your ships, how to keep track of damage, how the things shoot back and forth. There's a lot of things that are already existing out there. But I was contacted by the people making this game. They asked me if I would put it through its paces and give it a preview and give you all my opinions. This is a completely unpaid preview. It's just me getting a copy of a beta print and play game, playing it a couple of times, and giving you my thoughts. So, what do I think? Here's what I think. I think it's a very familiar feeling, comfortable game based on the basic rules. What was given to me was just the basic set of rules. So I've got 2 ships, 2 from the French, 2 from the English, basic movement, basic attacking. I am left wanting a lot more because I got a lot of chips and a lot of chips with a lot of symbols on them and a lot of things that I think are going to impact the game greatly, but because I don't have the advanced rules and because I don't know everything, I'm not quite sure how. I can guess. I can take some very good educated guesses based on what I've seen looking at videos online, but from a basic standpoint of rules, if you have played Wings of Glory, if you have played X-Wing miniatures, if you have played possibly the Star Trek miniatures game that's going to be coming out, it feels very similar to that. Now movement is handled very differently because movement is both via cards and arrow and line movement of arcs or straights or blowing back against you and moving you backwards. But that's the big part of movement is the wind. While you have these decks of cards that allow you to choose what angle or what sharpness or how far you're going to go ahead and move, the trajectory or what they call the attitude of the wind is really going to make a big difference. Now I don't have the models, I wish I did, but I don't have the models. The models do look quite beautiful if you look at their Kickstarter page. What I've got is just some foam board with a couple of printed bases looking down on the ships. But if you look down on the ships, there's some really interesting things. The first thing you notice is the border around the outside, which is red, orange, and green. And that will determine how far you move along the movement cards that you choose, or what type of movement cards that you can pick. There's some that you can only use when the wind is coming against your front sails, and there's some that you can use when the wind is coming behind you. Now, the stronger or more directionally behind you it is, the further you're going to move, which is pretty cool. It does cause for some interesting designs of movement though in how you get in range. But the most important thing when you look down at these mini bases is you see the firing arcs or the trajectory of where your cannons are going to fire to. They look exactly the same. In fact, if you look at the 2 here on my left and my right, they look identical almost when you look down at them. But when you bring them together and cover me up, you start to see that there are some differences. You start to see that the red wraps around the front a little more of one than of the other. You start to see that the firing arcs are not exactly the same in terms of width and span. That makes your tactical decisions really, really interesting in this game. The other thing that makes it very interesting is once you fire your cannons in this game, you have to reload them. So, if the left side of my ship and the right side of your ship are lined up and we fire at each other, it doesn't mean that the very next turn we're going to be firing again. We're going to spend some time reloading those cannons. And how we move while we reload is a big impact to the next set of firings or next set of attacks. So the game as a base set is very solid. It's actually very familiar, very easy to pick up, and very simple to play with. There is a lot though, if you've played this beta or if you've seen anyone demo this beta to you, that it leaves you wondering what are more of these symbols, what are more of these things, how do they interact, What do some of the things in the player mat mean? There's a lot more to this game that I think is out there than meets the eye right now. So it definitely has my interest. It's definitely something that I'm going to be watching and taking a look at, and it's something that interests me. Right now, we've had a lot of fun with the base set. Only 2 ships attacking each other has been a lot of deep, different decisions that we've had to make. It also does take a little bit of time to get used to the wind, but once you understand how the wind's blowing, and it pretty much stays the same in a basic game, I would hope that in an advanced game it might even move, you never know. But once you get the handle of that and you start to understand the movement and the timing of both moving and reloading your cannons, it actually gets to be pretty cool. It feels like Wings of Glory, it feels like X-Wing, but it does a few things differently that gives it its own unique element. And one thing that I felt walking away from playing this was I did feel like I was in control of a sailing ship, and that was probably the coolest part to me. While it didn't strike me as a unique, different, groundbreaking type game for its genre, it struck me as very solid, and it struck me as a good base foundation, again from base rules, that can be built upon, and hopefully using a lot of these symbols and a lot of other things are going to add a lot more complexity to it. If it's just the base game as it is right now, I think the average gamer would enjoy it. But I think everyone is going to be left like me, wanting a lot more, wanting a little bit more strategy and a little bit more depth. I'm sure there's going to be updates and information on the Facebook page or on their Kickstarter page, and we'll put links to that below, of course, so that you can reach out to them, check out the project for yourself, and if it's something that interests you, you may even want to consider backing it as well. But in the meantime, we'd definitely like to thank the guys from Sails of Glory for reaching out to us. We've had a great time playing this. We hope that you've enjoyed this, and we hope that you've enjoyed several of the pictures that we've shared with you. It is a very unique looking model game, unique looking miniature game that has a very familiar rule set, something that I think could potentially give someone who's into these type of games a totally different genre to enjoy it with. But in the meantime, we'd love to hear your thoughts. This is only our second preview for Kickstarters, and again, this is completely unpaid. This is just my personal experiences based off of playing the game as it is. But we'd love to hear your thoughts. Definitely feel free to leave your comments here in the YouTube channel. You can, of course, find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Google Plus by searching Crits Happen, or on our homepage at critshappen.com. But until we see you next time, we hope that you enjoy your time sailing the high seas and shooting down your opponents. Thanks so much for watching. Keep rolling those dice. We hope they're all crits.